Forma Financials. So you've learned quite a bit about the business that you're going to be starting, and now you're ready to do financials. I've provided an Excel workbook for you that has that's in a template format that has all of the information that you need. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be entering information into yellow cells only. Don't touch anything else. That way everything will total up correctly and you won't have to do any of the final adjustments. So let's take a look and see what we have. Let's see, Honeydew is planning $1,700 in supplies, marketing a couple thousand, and then for insurance $300. So a total of startup expenses of $4,000. They do want cash on hand, and they want $14,000. Long-term assets, and if you hover over a cell that has a red triangle in the corner, you'll see that it has descriptions, and it'll help you see what would go in that square. And in this case, we're going to say that there's $7,000 in tools. Okay, so now we know that we need a total of $25,000, and that number comes up here, and these move forward as well. In this case, we're going to say that $10,000 of it is from the owner investing, which leaves $15,000 in notes payable. So how does that translate? Well, technically, the owner is putting $7,000 in tools, so the additional $3,000 would be in cash. The $1,000 plus the startup costs would be what was funded in the notes payable. So we're going to set this note or this loan to be for 24 months. You will likely have to do a little bit of adjustment in this area depending upon what you choose for your numbers and how you have yours break down. So make sure that you look at this area closely. In our case, we're going to pay 11% interest, so the payment per month is $625. Total interest on the loan is $1,650. And so each year it's $825. Total cost of the loan is $16,650 because that's your note plus your interest. If you had your loan running through 3 years instead of 2 years, well, in that case here you would change this number to 3 and then you would continue it down to here. In our case, we're going to have 3 investors, and each one of those investors gets 5% interest. So on their $5,000, they're making an additional $550 just in loan payments. Now let's look at sales. We're going to start by titling our area, and in your case, a unit sale, you want to be able to get it down to unit. So if you have a service, what are you going to be expecting per hour? How many hours of service can you bill for? In the unit prices, what is it you're charging for that unit of service? And then your sales will automatically compute. Same thing for your cost of goods. What is the cost of goods when you are going to be either doing a service or a product? Even if you're a service, you'd still have some expenses. Your cost of goods sold would automatically calculate here. Let's walk through. So in this case, we have contracted service because remember, Honeydew does a certain number of hours of contracted service per month with a customer. We're going to start off slow. We're going to say that only 17 hours are contracted the first month. We increase the second month to 42.88. Let's do 120. The numbers that you're putting in here are purely speculation. You do, however, want to be cautious with your numbers because you want people to take them seriously. And if you put down that you're going to be a millionaire by the end of year 1, you better be able to back it up. And 140, 150 for August. Let's say September is going to slow down a little bit, and then you're expecting things to get a little slower for the rest of the year. So you're going to bill out a total of 1,407 hours in this case. If you had a service, or if you had a product, maybe you're going to sell 200 or 240 or whatever, and then you would put the number of the product in here. If you had more than one product, let's say you sell nail polish. If you had 3 different colors, that would be 3 different line items, because you would likely have different sales amounts for each one of those products. So if we go to year 2, we're going to say that he's picking up an employee, or actually I think Mary had a little lamb, so it's a her. So she picks up an employee in year 2, and she picks up a couple of employees for year 3. So we've increased billing quite a bit. The charge per hour is going to remain at $30, and we're going to run that $30 an hour charge all the way through year 2. In year 3, we're going to up it to $35 an hour. So now you have your cost of goods sold. It is a service business, but there's wear and tear, and just a guesstimation to start with, I'm going with $5. So out of the cost, out of that $30 that I'm billing the customer, I'm estimating that $5 of that is going toward things that are going to be billed directly to that service. I'm going to drag that, let's go all the way through year 2, and I'm going to go to $6 in year 3. So now I have my contracted service already billed out. In year 2, I'm going to have 2 employees, and in year 3, I'm going to jump to 5 employees. So all of my numbers line up, and I'm ready to move to cash flow. So in cash flow, that is the money that comes in and flows out of your business. So you want to be able to see where you are financially at the end of each month. Are there months where you run out of month before money, or vice versa? So the $2,000 that I've budgeted for my startup costs, I'm going to make that due for the whole first year for marketing. But in year 2, I want to kick marketing up a bit. So I'm going to say $6,000, and let's really go big for the next year. $30,000 when we have 5 employees. Woohoo! This first year, though, I'm just going to pay myself, or Mary Had a Little Lamb is going to pay herself $2,000 a month. So a total of 24 for the first year. Let's keep it at the same for the second year, and up the payroll to 36 for the third year. And we're going to adjust for employees. We're going to pay $36,000 and $72,000. And we already did our payroll breakdown earlier, so you're just transferring the information from there. Next on our list is rent. And I'm not going to have rent, or Mary Had a Little Lamb is not going to have rent the first year or the second year, but let's put Mary Had a Little Lamb into their own location for year 3. And with rent, utilities, insurance, upgrades, figure about $42,000 for that first year. Miscellaneous, you want to put something in. Doesn't have to be a huge amount, but you want to protect yourself, just a little cushion. So $2,400 for that first year. Let's increase our cushion. We can always adjust down later. Your numbers don't need to be this high. These numbers will automatically correct as I finish entering my information. In depreciation, I'm going to have some items because I have the $7,000 in tools that I listed, and I'm going to depreciate that over 5 years, which is 60 months. So that means I'm claiming $116.67 per month, which breaks down to $1,400, and I'm going to say $1,400 for the next 2 years as well. So that automatically calculates. Then on my loan payment, I have principal paid of $7,500 the first year, and I have to manually list this item because there's just too many variables regarding how you guys will set your loans up. So in this case, the principal, in order to get to the $15,000, is $7,500 per year for 2 years. So I'm going to list $7,500. And in your loan repayment, remember that this line is principal only. So it's just the base amount, not including the interest. That's tracked elsewhere. So now your money has broken down, and it is good that you had that cash to start with because it allowed you to stay in the black as you were building your clientele. So that by the end of the year, although you didn't make a huge you didn't make profit, you still have cash. And then as you move into the second year and third year, it starts increasing significantly. Now, once you have these items in place, then the next two sheets calculate themselves. So your income statement tells you where you finish as to how much of a net income or a net loss that you have for the year. And in this case, the end of year one, Mary Had a Little Lamb lost $650, and each one of the investors would be able to write $33 off their taxes. In year two, a profit was made, as is a profit in year three. And although in year three there would not, in this case, be any profit because we would be writing the loan as when the loan is paid off, their profit for the business would conclude as well. Or maybe not. Maybe they keep that ownership and that percentage of profit forever. It's really however you write the business. Your balance statement and your balance sheet, same thing. That tells you the health of where you are, and the two rows that are in purple have to balance. So in this case, you start your first, at the end of the first year, your net worth is $5,000. By the end of the third year, you're at $56,000. So take it slow. Know that you can always go back to a fresh template if you push the wrong button, and see where you finish up regarding your financials. I look forward to seeing what you submit.